Good morning. My name's Dan McClinton. I'm going to talk to you a little bit today about time and how we could save it for our teammates and be a more efficient company. Time is a concept that rules everything. It's woven throughout our lives. Everything revolves around it. We all wear watches. When we open our phones, that's one of the first things you see is time. Our workday revolves around it. Our flight training periods are ruled by it. This presentation has a time requirement of it. Songs are written about it. It's all through society, like sands through the hourglass, so are the days of our lives. It's everywhere. If you ask your clients if they would rather have more personal time or a raise, in most cases, they pick time. Time is that important to people. So, if you're a manager, if you're a leader, should you not be looking at ways that you can make your employees' life better? That you can make things more efficient so they aren't wasting their time? So they are being used effectively. How many times have you heard there's not enough hours in the day to get something done? Well, if we're doing everything as efficiently as it can be, there just may be enough hours in the day. And if you're not looking for ways to make things better, you're not being an effective manager, you're not being an effective leader. If time is money, and you're wasting time, are you not like throwing money away as well? Well, we at DFW South looked at our processes and said, is there a way that we can make some of these processes better, more efficient? So we're not wasting time when we make better use of our employees' time that they have with us. One of the most labor-intensive, tedious processes that we do at Flight Safety is the gathering of and the processing of Day 1 documents. As everybody knows, by regulation, we're required to check pilots' licenses, medical ratings, passports, driver's licenses, all those things before somebody begins training on the first day. That's what's called Day 1 docs. In the larger centers, like the one that we have at the Dallas-Fort Worth Airport, up to 100 people can start training on a Monday. If one CSR is processing those documents, it can take that person up to an entire 8-hour workday to get that process done. As you can imagine, doing a tedious process that takes 8 hours, the chances for errors are great. So how do we make this process better, easier, more efficient, so we're not so prone to errors and we're making better use of our teammates' time? That's the problem that we looked at, doing some research. We found a scanner and we decided to conduct an experiment. So with this scanner, which has a feeder device, and it allows the CSRs, customer support reps, to load all the documents in this scanner. And once that process starts, it doesn't require any human input anymore. So we located this scanner and we decided to conduct an experiment, and this experiment ran for a month, where we used the scanner in place of the iPad. And just to remind everybody of the process, normally the way things work now across the enterprise, a CSR will take the Day 1 documents. She will take an iPad. Using the camera on the iPad, she'll take a picture of the documents. Then from the iPad using the Bluetooth, move those pictures to a computer, put them in a folder with the client's name on it, then put it in the cloud. So you can see there's several places there where there's potential for error, there's potential to put them in the wrong folder, there's all sorts of things. With this scanner, it's connected directly to the computer, it goes into a folder, and then we can move it to wherever we need to move it. So we conducted this experiment for a month. During that month, we determined that the scanner cut the amount of time required to process day one documents in half. This was across the board. If we're talking about one client, it took half the time. If we're talking about 30 clients, it took half the time. So, for instance, normally, on average, if we're processing day one docs with an iPad and you have 6 clients, it takes about an hour. Using the scanner, it took 30 minutes. Now, extrapolating this out, if we had a 30 client intake on day one, it on average has taken 3 hours using an iPad to process those documents. Using the scanner, it took an hour and a half. So, using the scanner is going to cut the time in half to process day one docs. There is no doubt. Across the entire month of the experiment, it was consistent. The scanner produced less errors. It was easy to operate. Our CSRs had no issues using it. And as a bonus, using retail prices between the current iPad and the scanner is $100 less to buy than the iPad. So what's the way forward if we want to do this, if we want to incorporate this as flight safety? I can tell you, if we institute this plan tomorrow, we will instantly cut in half the amount of time that's required to process day one docs. That is beyond the shadow of a doubt. The cost savings, we didn't investigate bulk buying or anything that might cut prices, so let's just call, for the sake of argument, let's just call this a wash. And you're going to say, what are we going to do with all these iPads that were currently in process in day one docs? We can repurpose those. Currently, Flight Safety has a loaner program for its clients. Say somebody shows up to training, they don't have their iPad, or they never had an iPad, and they would like to use one during the course. We have loaners. So instead of having to buy more iPads for loaners, we repurpose the iPads we currently have. So that cost, as far as we can tell, is a wash. But beyond the shadow of a doubt, if time is money, you are saving money by saving time. And like I've said a couple of times now, this scanner cuts the time required to process day one docs in half and makes your CSRs and your whole building more productive. So, if time really is money, can we afford not to do this? Thank you, and have a great flight safety day.